Hey everybody, welcome back to Cerebral Tackle. I know it's going to be part 4 of the Josh Stracner series, but you know what? We've got some new stuff to get to. Tonight I'm going to tell you about a conversation I had with one of his fellow Elite Series competitors that would have had something to gain from him not fishing that Elite Series event back on Lake Seminole in February, where he recently got the ticket for not having a fishing license for that event. There's also been a ton of craziness going on in my comment section, so we're going to cover a little bit of that as well. Also, there's been some stories floating around, don't know if they're necessarily true, about how he got that original ticket in South Dakota July of last year. We're going to dive into that a little bit and see if there's maybe some validity to it, right? So, before we get right to it, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's do this. This first piece of information comes from a commenter by the name of Bill Willis. Here's what Bill Willis had to say about Stracner's first ticket that he received in South Dakota, July of last year. First, Bill claims that Stracner didn't even get the ticket at the lake, that he wasn't checked there, but instead said that he received the ticket the day after because he had told someone in the bar the night before that he had been out on the lake graphing and that his rods were not even on the deck, but were in the rod locker. Supposedly, someone in the bar contacted the game warden, and then the warden contacted Stracner, and that's when the ticket was issued. Now, is this little nugget true? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. However, I do find one thing very curious. Remember when I told you that there were GPS coordinates attached to this ticket that he received in South Dakota? When you look up those coordinates, they come up to an area right at a boat ramp. They're on the part of the lake. Interesting that it wouldn't be out on the water somewhere else, but it would be in conjunction right around a ramp, huh? Is it true? I don't know, but that little bit does give me a little bit of pause, to be clearly honest. Another common thought in my comment section was, why didn't he fight it? Well, I kind of get that too. But you know what? This area is 1,300 miles away from where the man lives. If you ask me, that's a hell of a long way to go for a $182.50 misdemeanor ticket. Plus, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. He's more than likely going to lose, and I know that pisses a lot of people off, but I'm just reporting the facts. Don't come at me with these crazy harebrained hypotheticals because I don't care. Here's a trick. He was in possession of his tackle and his rods and his reels and out on the water. You're going to get that freaking ticket. It's just how it is. Don't like it? Don't argue with me. How about you go to your state legislature and get the laws and the rules and the enforcement changed? I've got nothing to do with that. Besides, he said in his own social media post that he was out there for a pre-practice trip. Yeah, he said there was an interesting story behind it, but when I hear pre-practice, that means fishing. Add to that he was reportedly issued a ticket after being contacted by the Georgia DNR for not having a fishing license during the February event on Lake Seminole this year. Man, it is what it is. So let's say that every word Bill relayed to us is 100% on the money. That would mean twice he's been contacted after the fact by game wardens, and both times been issued a ticket for not having a valid fishing license. So I reached out to one of his fellow Elite Series competitors, a guy that stood to gain a little something, if Stracner wouldn't have been allowed to fish the Georgia event. Here's what he had to say. He said that while he didn't know Josh Stracner very well, his impressions of him is that he's a straight-up guy who wouldn't do anything to jeopardize his career. I gathered from my conversation with him that he thought this was nothing more than a simple mistake. I also kind of gathered that maybe there's some confusion as to where the reciprocal agreement between Georgia and Florida ends when it comes to Lake Seminole. Now, it's also my understanding that the reciprocal agreement between Florida and Georgia does not apply to the whole lake. Now, when I spoke with this pro today, we both had varying opinions as to where the reciprocal agreement begins and ends. According to the representative I spoke to with Georgia, it doesn't apply, but maybe to the only northern part of Seminole, above the southernmost part that extends into Florida. I don't know. Either way, this is something that Georgia and Florida probably need to get together with Bass on and add a little clarification. Sometimes a little clarification is all you need to prevent things like this from happening. The Elite Series Pro went on to say that he does not think Josh is a bad guy. And you know what? He's probably right. He also said, you know what? We've all made mistakes. And you know what? He couldn't be more right about that either. I know we've all done something we would love to take back. All I know is what I've been reporting. That said, he received a ticket in 2 different states for not having a valid fishing license. And he's been entered into the Interstate Wildlife Violator Compact database as having a suspended fishing license for the term of 1 year. That's all I know, guys, and that's all I've been trying to say. So, Josh Stracner's supporters and some of his fellow anglers say, you know what? He's not a bad guy. And in the words of the Elite Series pro I spoke with today, we can't change our past, we can only change our future. And you know, he's right about that. When I asked him what he would think if Bass were to look into the situation and make possible adjustments to the standings, he said he's got not a problem in the world with it either way. What they do is what they do. He's not the kind of guy to say because it's not his place. And you know what? He's a stand-up guy for that. I tell you, that's a pretty stand-up statement. Because if this were to happen in Bass Opens or Bass Clubs all over the U.S., all hell would have broken loose. So, you know what? He's a pretty good dude. Now, just for a little fun here at the end, do you know who's not a good dude? A guy in the comments section by the name of John Pace. Here's what John Pace had to say. John threw out a fat joke and said, "No, in California there, Tubby. You must be seen actively fishing. Get you facts straight if you're possessive. Going to attempt to interpret the law." Well, in about 30 seconds of Googling, here's what I found. Yes, everyone on the boat over the age of 16 requires a fishing license in the state of California. Yes, it's only 30 seconds of Googling, but that's still 20 more seconds than he apparently put into his 3rd grade English class. I know. Possessives and contractions are so hard. Well, guys, that wraps it up for me today. I'm going to get on out of here. Do me a favor. Get your gear together, plan a nice trip, get out there on the water, and keep it wet.